I'm going to be showing you a simple step on how to achieve this look, an everyday makeup look for beginner. If you'd like to see how I got to this look, including all the products that I used in this video, stick around and I'll show you how to easily do these things. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Nkem and I do everything on fashion, beauty and lifestyle. Welcome to Simply Nkem. Please don't forget to subscribe. If you're already subscribed, hey bestie, welcome back to another beauty video. Let's jump right into this makeup tutorial. The last video that I did, I heard a lot of people tell me, oh, I don't mention all the products. I got a lot of complaints I don't mention a lot of the products or show a lot of the products that I use. So in today's video, I'm going to attempt to actually show you guys all the items that I use. I'm going to pull this up slightly, my chair, just so I can be on a perfect height. Let's jump right into the video. First things first, let's go on to my moisturizer. I'm using the Aveeno Oat Rich Balm. I have been using this for a very long time. I first of all got this when with your PR, and I have since made this an everyday out of my routine. I love it because it's very moisturizing, and you know, just after I've done like all my regular morning routine, I go ahead and I use this to, you know, kind of give my face a bit more moisture while I'm at it. I'm going to show you guys another thing that I use again. Sometimes I kind of alternate between the two. I use the Dr. Botanical's Lemon Superfood All-in-One Rescue Butter. This is also another thing that I use, and I would recommend this if you have a very dry skin. I don't tend to use so much. Just a little bit of this goes like a really long way. And I also don't typically use the two at the same time, but sometimes I do, just on the days that I feel really dry or the weather is too dry. I just kind of use the two to give my face that much protection and moisture, however you want it to be, rephrase it. Right, once that is done, take a spoolie. This is from the Manage makeup brush. I got this on TikTok shop, just to brush my brows. I hope you guys can see me. So with my makeup, it just depends on the mood that I'm in. On some days I want my eyebrows really defined and, you know, out there. On some days I don't, so it just depends on my mood. If I don't want to put in so much effort, I go in with the NYX brow gel. This does a lot of work to just keep my brows in place. However, today we're going the whole 9 yards, and I'm going to use an eye pencil. When I use a brow gel, I don't typically use an eye pencil, but when I want to use an eye pencil, I don't usually use a brow gel. So whatever works for you. It's just that the brow gel takes a bit of time to dry down, so I don't bother. So my brow, I'm using the Maybelline New York Express brows in brown, like that chocolate brown. This is new to me. This is like a new purchase. I bought this, I think, 2 weeks ago at the train station from one of the Boots store, and I love it. I'm used to, if you're Nigerian, you would know this, I'm used to the typical Nigerian eye pencil brows. This is what this looks like. So I didn't really get into the whole brows that you don't have to sharpen and all of that, but this is quite good and it's very precise. So I hope you guys can see my face. I basically just try to carve out my natural brows. I have thick brows naturally, so that helps me because I don't have to do too much. So the first thing I did is kind of trace my underbrows first, and then I go ahead and trace the upper side and then fill it in. So once that's done, this is exactly what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and recreate the same for this brows. Okay, so now that my brow is set, we're going to move on to the next thing. If you notice, I didn't put a primer immediately after putting the moisturizer and stuff on my face, and that's because I needed this to kind of dry down a bit. I use 2 different types of primers, and it just depends. I am going to make this, actually I'm going to make this drugstore makeup, just so that you know that I know makeup can be very expensive, but you know that you don't have to spend so much to look good. I use e.l.f. a lot, you can see, and I also have the Huda Beauty. So I'm not going to use this one, but we're going to use e.l.f. I'm just gonna grab a new pack because I have nearly run out of this. I always have elf, I don't care. The primer is really good, and it's good for if you do makeup every day. You can't keep spending, you know, how much whatever it is that makeup costs these days. You can't keep spending that every month or every 2 months. There's something great on primer. If you have a very good alternative like elf, please go ahead. This is just £10. So apply my primer everywhere and just leave it a bit to kind of dry down, get a bit tacky to hold your makeup. Again, it depends on the kind of skin you have. Always read the ingredients or the properties of whatever product you're using to see how well it will go with your skin. So obviously you kind of just let it set for 30 seconds so that it becomes a bit, you know, tacky before you go ahead. And the reason for that is you want it to hold your makeup, you want your makeup to kind of grip, hold onto it. But yeah, let's move on. I tend to babble a lot, by the way, so pardon me. Let's go to foundation. So it depends on how you do your makeup. Like, to me, makeup is not a one size fits all. There's so many ways that you can do your makeup, and for me, I always advise to whatever that is, you know, comfortable for you. I'm going to go ahead and carve out my brows first. This is simply because I want the makeup to kind of look very good, so I tend to do everything that is eye, my brows, carve that out, and sometimes my shadows if I'm using eyeshadow, clean that up and then go ahead with my foundation. And to carve out my brows, I typically tend to use foundation because I want to be able to blend it into my skin very seamlessly as opposed to concealer. So I'm using the Revolution Skin Silk Luminous Serum Foundation. This is a very good foundation and it has quite an amount of coverage. I'm using this in f12.5. If you want to get this product on discount, please, I will put the link to an affiliate link below and you can purchase any of the products that you want. Also, disclaimer, I'm going to be using a lot of the Revolution products just simply because I tend to use a lot of their products and they work for me. So I'm going in with a flat brush. This flat concealer brush is from Jessup. I've had this for years, literally for years. And it's been working for me. So just get a bit of foundation behind your hand and then just use it to kind of clean up your brows. So once this is done, pretty much carved out and kind of spread all around it, I go in with the multifunction brush from Menage. I also got this on TikTok shop and I basically use this for concealers, and I love that it has this angle here. It helps me blend a bit better. You can either use a brush or use a beauty blender, so it just depends on what you feel comfortable with. I tend to use both. So what I'm basically doing is kind of blending in everywhere that I've put foundation on to cover out my brow so that it looks a lot better. So this is exactly what it looks like now, and I'm going to replicate the same thing on the other side. Right, so I've pretty much done the same to the two brows. If you're crunched with time, you can completely skip this. If this is your, like, if you're trying to get used to doing makeup every day for work, you can completely skip the step of carving out your brows. If you've got a bit of time, I recommend you do it. If you're new to makeup, I recommend you use a foundation that's exactly your shade. This is to help you kind of blend it out very seamlessly. If you use a concealer that is lighter, or even maybe your shade, concealers are a bit thicker, like they have a thicker consistency and you might struggle with blending it out. So I recommend using your foundation and either brush or beauty blender, and kind of start with small amounts and then kind of build it up as you move along. So that's my eyes done. Now for eyeshadows, again, I would use the same thing, get a little bit more of the foundation and just put it on my lid. This is going to serve as a base for my eyeshadow. and once I've done that, again I'll use a brush to blend it out. One of the reasons I love using brushes is because they don't suck up the product, so you still have a decent amount of product on your skin, you know, as opposed to beauty blenders. When you use beauty blenders, they tend to suck up all the products from your skin. Okay, that is done. I'm going to move on to eyeshadows. For my eyeshadow, I'm going to be using this palette from, again, Makeup Revolution, the Hawaii 16 color shadow palette. This is what it looks like, and this is what all the colors look like. So you've got a lot of neutral shades and a few shimmers there. For eyeshadows, I typically go in with this color, which is close to my skin tone. Dab that in and kind of dab that all over my crease. This is the first thing I do, just because I want, you know, something that isn't like so off color, but then you can tell that I've got a bit of eyeshadow on. So dab it in and kind of swish. That's the only way I can explain it. Yeah, blend it across your crease. You know, when you open your eyes, the part that kind of folds in, that's where you blend it in. Okay, and it's mirror close to my face so I can see what I'm doing very well. Yeah. Right, so this is what we're working with. At first it doesn't look like too much, but you can definitely tell that there's something there, which is gold. Next thing I'm going to do is going with a deeper shade of color, basically anything between these two shades here, and I'm going to apply that at the outer corner of my eyes. And once I've done that, you can see there's a little bit of dimension. So what I'm going to do is blend it all the way into my crease. I don't need to get any more product. I just need to kind of take from there and swish that in and blend it into my crease. So that makes the, you know, the crease a bit more visible than this one. Can you see the difference? And I'm going to do the same thing for the other eye. So once you feel like it's all blended in, it looks quite nice, I'm going to go with the color for my eyelid. And for the color for my eyelid, because I'm going to work, I don't want anything too shouty or too out. I'm not going to do a ridiculous cut crease. So I would choose any of the shimmer, any of the lighter or shimmer colors on this side. That's what I'm going to apply on my lids. And to apply that, I tend to go with a flat brush. This is a large shader brush one, also from the same collection. And I just realized I didn't show you guys the brush. This says Flawless Concealer Brush, but I use it for my shadow blending, which is, it works perfect. So yeah. So we're going to do a golden light shimmer. So just get a bit of product and then tap that in like so. This is very pigmented, so just one scoop, one application is enough. So far, this is what it looks like. So now I'm going to go in with a blending brush and also a bit of that crease color and just kind of blend the edges a bit more. With applying the shadow color, I kind of dab that in a dabbing motion, but with this I'm just going to kind of swirl a bit more at the edges just to blend the edges so it's not as sharp. So far, this is what it looks like. If you're happy with this, you can go on. If not, if you want a bit more dimension, you can darken the outer corner of your eye just to get it give it a bit more dimension. But for work purposes, I feel like this is fine. The next thing I'm going to do is put on some eyeliner. I swear, okay, swear by this e.l.f. liquid liner. I use this every day, and yeah, it's good. It's good. If you're new to eyeliners, I would recommend that you practice. That's the best way I can explain it to you. Practice as much as possible. When I apply it, I tend to start from the middle and then slowly build my way, edging a bit forward in from the inner part all the way to the eye, all the way to the outer eye. The outer corner of the eye. Jesus Christ. Okay, and the best way to do a wing is literally to draw it, the line for the wing, and then connect it. So I'm going to do the same thing for this other eye, and this is where the problem lies, because I tend to mess it up. They never look the same, but really they shouldn't, to be honest. No part of your body is the same, so yeah. Winging done, and I'm going to apply some dark eyeliner under my eye. I'm using this khol Natural by Paradise L'Oreal Paris. This is what it looks like. I'm using this for quite a long time, and I'm just going to apply my waterline. Let's move on, let's move on, let's move on. So this is with the eyes done, pretty much simple. The next part is I can then go in and do the rest of my face, my foundation, and this way I don't have to touch my face after I've kind of put on my foundation, because I've pretty much done everything that would warrant me to touch my face. So yeah, I need a mirror. Again, the same foundation, the Makeup Revolution Skin Silk foundation. I try to avoid under my eye typically when I do foundation, and just a little product on my forehead. Now, blending foundation, you can use anything you want, whatever works for you. You can use a beauty blender, you can use a foundation brush. My foundation brush is missing for some weird reason, I don't know. However, I have been using this blush brush from Manage, the same collection. It's very fluffy and it kind of tends to do the job, so that is what I'm going to use. One thing I'm going to say about this foundation is that it tends to dry out very quickly, so yeah, you have to be quick with it when you apply your foundation. Okay, this is pretty much, you don't need so much unless you're really trying to, like, you know, build your makeup to last you forever, and to be honest, that doesn't work. Your face will start to feel very caked up. However, just make sure you have enough product that you can tell the difference, but you don't necessarily have to, you know, add too much product, e.g. foundation. If you feel like you want a bit more coverage, you can obviously build up, and with this foundation you can do that. Another foundation that I know very well that will work, a bit more pricey, is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place makeup. When I'm going out in the night and I want something that would last, I tend to use this. This is what I've been using, but my friend just gifted me this because it was too light for her. This is FW 1.5 cinnamon, and this is 5W 1.5 cinnamon, and this is 5W1 bronze. I feel like this is my summer shade, so I don't wear this a lot this period, and this is like my winter shade, if that makes sense. But yeah, this product is awesome, so that's something you can also do. Use. Another foundation that I have is the Huda Easy Blur. When I got this, I got the wrong shade, but I tend to mix it with another product to see what it gives. It's such a beautiful foundation, gives you that airbrush effect, but I haven't used as much of this just because it's technically not my shade, so I can't give you any much information on this product. But yeah, when I've used it, it wasn't quite, but it was really nice. So after this stage, the next thing you will do is to put on your concealer to lighten and then to kind of contour your face as well. For concealers, we're going to be using the Maybelline multi-use concealer in shade 7 and 13. This is to highlight and this is to conceal. I just got this, but I've been using this for quite a while. Another concealer that I've been using is the Revolution Conceal and Define. I've been using this for such a long time and it's absolutely wonderful. So these are like your drugstore alternatives, and yeah, that work really well. So first things first, put on your concealer, and the reason is because you need this to kind of dry down a bit. If you're new to concealing and it's not something you do very often, I would say start really small. This is just so you will be able to blend it out when it's time to blend it out. And obviously for work, you're not going to be putting in so much concealer to kind of sculpt your face, because really you're not going to a party, you're going to work, so you don't feel awkward. But yeah, put in a little bit, leave it to dry, 30 seconds, don't even wait up to a minute, and kind of blend it out. If you're very good with blending, then I would say leave it a bit longer and then blend it out. So yeah, when I put on the concealer for highlights, I go ahead and contour. So these are my contour and highlight placement. And what I do is I tend to blend out the contour first before blending out the highlights. So for the contour, I use the Manage sculpting brush. This is an angled brush, and I've used this for a long time. So I start by dabbing in where the product is. If you want your makeup to blend seamlessly, the technique is to actually dab if it's a liquid product, and swirl if it's a powder product. I hope that kind of makes sense, and you will see me demonstrating this all through this video. Once I have a liquid product on, I tend to dab it in just so it goes into my skin and that doesn't leave any harsh lines. Okay, so that's so far how it is. For my nostrils, I use the Jessup large fluffy brush. This is what it looks like. Again, I've used this brush since forever. So I would love to get another brush the same width, the same characteristics, but slightly smaller, because this is quite big. But yeah, and that's just to blend the contour on my nose. While we're waiting for this to dry down, we are going to go in with the blush. Before we go into the blush, I'm just going to show you another concealer that I use, and this is from Makeup Revolution, their bronzer stick. This is what it looks like. You twist. Ooh. Yeah, you kind of twist to release the product. But yeah, this is also quite nice. For blush, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush. e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush. This is what it looks like. I need to hurry up before my battery dies. This is very pigmented, so what I do is I put it at the back of my hand and I take a fluffy brush. This is a fluffy brush that I use. I think I got this from Primark a long time ago. There's no name or number on it. So I dab on here and then I place on my cheeks. That's a lot. This is so pigmented. You don't have to worry so much about how much it has blended, because we're still gonna kind of blend it a bit further. So now I'm going to go ahead and blend my concealer. Again, using this concealer brush, I dab. And depending on how good you are with doing makeup, I would suggest use a brush or use a beauty blender. Whatever works for you is fine. And this is why I advise that you start small if you're new to makeup and not used to putting on concealer. Use a small amount at first and blend it out. You don't have to wait for it to dry down a bit. Blend it out and then you can add more if you need to. It's just easier to work on if you do it that way. I'm just using a small contour brush just to blend the ridge of my nose. So far, this is what it looks like, all blended out. Everything I've applied so far is a liquid product. I'm going to go ahead and set my face. To set my face, I'm using the Makeup Revolution. I've had this since forever, you can tell. It's nearing the end. And I just put it on a surface. And I use a tapered fluffy brush. This is also from Jessup. I've had this for forever. So just grab a few dust out the excess, and then tap 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 to blend that in. So everywhere that I've put concealer, I would typically add this. Okay, so that's looking good. And if you want like a more chiseled effect, you can also kind of reverse contour. So this is just to carve out where your contour was placed. Pretty much. We're getting somewhere, I think. So that's really good. So now that we've set our face, we will go on to the rest of the items. Let's do the blush first. So this is the blush that I'll be using. This is the NYX Buttermelt blush. This is so good, but this is also very, which is not a bad thing. I'm supposed to say and this is also very high pigmented. So a little goes a long way. Dust off, can you see? Dust off the excess. Oh my god. If I feel like I've applied too much blush, I will use like another brush that doesn't have as much product, not this one. Yeah, this one. And kind of blend that out. My scarf has been moving back since the beginning of this video, but it's well. So that's blush for you. All done. And then we are going to put on some bronzer just to add a bit of warmth. You place the bronzer around where you put the contour. That's what we're gonna do next, if I'm able to find my bronzer. So next in contour, again, I'm using the NYX Buttermelt bronzer, not contour, it's bronzer. Bronzer, and I'm going to use a fluffy brush. This product again is very pigmented, so tap off any excess and just use it to add a bit of dimension. All the places that you put your contour, that is where you're going to put this product. And like I said, swirl motion, just so your face has a bit of, you know, dimension, I should say. We're almost at the end of this, so bear with me. This is a really long video, I think. Last but not the least, well, not the last thing actually, but we go on to powder. I'm using a MAC Studio Fix powder. This is because this is the only powder I've used for years. I'm sure there are other affordable options, but this is what I've been using. And all the other places where I don't have like a lot of products, or if I feel like my products or something didn't blend very well, I can kind of use this to blend it all out. And I think I just missed out on one step, which is contouring my nose or defining my nose a bit more, which I'm going to do with the bronzer again and a fluffy brush. This product is so pigmented, so I blend it into my my crease. But yeah, now my nose is a bit more chiseled. So pretty much done. I go ahead and set my face. This is, I swear by this product. This is the Studio London setting mist in matte, and this is by Superdrug. This is 5 to 6 pounds, but this keeps my makeup in check every day, the entire day. This has like an 8 to 10 hour wear range. If you're following me on TikTok, you would have probably heard me rave, literally rave about this product. Yeah, let's keep moving. Next is to line my lips. I'm going to be using the NYX matte lip liner. This is what it looks like. This is the OGs, they know about this. Yeah, and most times I don't put gloss on my lips throughout the makeup or at the beginning, because it's kind of just doesn't let the lip pencil come out, so just leave my lips matte. So that's like the first layer. Then I'm going to go in with the Makeup Revolution Pout liner. And this is in Fake the Filler, is it? No, this is in Jelly Berry Mauve. That's the color, Jelly Berry Mauve. And that goes on top of the brown. So not directly on top, but kind of like the inner layer. I'm racing against time. If you're a gloss girly, you're definitely going to love this. This is Revolution Beauty London Pout Bomb Plumping Lip Gloss in Jelly Berry Mauve. So the gloss of the pencil, and I'm going to apply this on top. Messed up my makeup. Let me take this scarf off. That's it, and this is what we have. Simple, everyday, step-by-step makeup that you didn't know you needed. If you loved this video, please give it a thumbs up, like, share, leave me some comments, and please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.